My mom's wish changed me into her dream daughter. I never expected my life to unravel because of a wish. A simple, heartbreaking, impossible wish from someone I thought I knew, someone I had spent my whole life trying to make proud. My mom. Growing up, I was Ethan Jameson. Just Ethan. Quiet, soft-spoken, the kind of boy teachers described as well-behaved and sensitive. I was never into sports. I hated loud places. I liked puzzles, soft music, and afternoons spent alone in my room with a book or a sketchpad. My mom used to smile at that, but sometimes, just sometimes, her smile seemed forced, like it was hiding a sigh. Because before me, there was Emily. My older sister had been everything. Bright, bold, beautiful. She danced in the kitchen, laughed louder than anyone else at family dinners, and filled our home with color. I don't remember much. She died in a car accident when I was just 9, but the house never felt the same after that. Neither did my mom. Her grief wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, heavy. She still cooked breakfast, folded laundry, went to work, but her eyes were always far away, like she was watching a life that used to be. I tried to be what she needed. I tried so hard. But no matter what I did, I could never be Emily. Maybe that's where it started. I was 11 the first time I touched one of Emily's old dresses. My mom had packed them all away in the attic, but sometimes, when she was at work, I'd sneak up there. I didn't even know why. Curiosity, maybe. Or something deeper. Something unnamed. I ran my fingers along the soft fabric, feeling a strange pulse in my chest. I pressed one of her old cardigans against me, breathing in faded traces of perfume and memory. And just like that, I was hooked. Not to the clothes themselves, but to how they made me feel. Safe. Beautiful. Alive. Of course, I couldn't tell anyone. Especially not my mom. Or my dad, who passed away when I was 14 and took with him the last trace of normalcy in our house. I buried my feelings deep. Buried them under layers of baggy hoodies, sarcasm, and shame. But they never left. Years passed. I went to college, studied software engineering, got a decent job at a startup downtown, moved into a cramped apartment that always smelled faintly of garlic from the neighbors' cooking. My days were dull, predictable. But at night, when I was alone, I'd unlock the box beneath my bed. A box that held the pieces of the person I couldn't show the world. A silky pink nightgown, a black pleated skirt, a pair of size 10 heels I had a special order online, lipstick in a shade called Midnight Cherry, a wig I once spent an entire paycheck on, long, dark, silky. Putting it all on felt like shedding armor, like slipping into the version of me that made sense, the one that could look in the mirror and smile without pretending. But it was also terrifying. What if someone found out? What if Emma found out? Emma was my everything. We met in college, during a group presentation. She was bold where I was quiet, confident where I was unsure. Somehow we just clicked. She liked my awkwardness. Said it was refreshing. I liked her laugh. It was the kind that made people turn their heads just to see who was having so much fun. We started dating sophomore year. Moved in together 6 months after graduation. She still doesn't know. I mean, she knows I'm sensitive, careful, gentle. She jokes that I'd make a better girlfriend than half the girls she knows. If only she knew how close she was to the truth. I've come so close to telling her. I've stood in front of the bathroom mirror, mascara in hand, whispering rehearsed confessions. But every time I freeze. What if she leaves? What if she looks at me and sees a stranger? So I lie. I hide. I pretend. I thought I could keep both lives separate forever. But 2 weeks ago, everything changed. It was a Thursday. Emma had gone out of town for the weekend to attend her cousin's wedding. I was home alone, finally free to breathe without the weight of secrets on my chest. I spent hours getting ready. Shaved. Moisturized. Pulled on my favorite lingerie. Then the skirt. The blouse. The wig. The makeup. By the time I looked in the mirror, Ethan was gone. She was there instead. I still don't have a name for her. That part of me. That version. But she was radiant. Smiling. Alive. And then the letter came. I found it in the mailbox, mixed in with junk coupons and a credit card offer. It was handwritten, in a soft cream envelope with a slightly trembling script I hadn't seen in months. We hadn't spoken much lately. Not out of anger, just distance. She lived in the suburbs now, alone in the same house where I grew up. Every time I visited, it felt haunted. Not by ghosts, but by expectations. So I stopped going. But I opened the letter. Ethan, I know it's been a while. I've been thinking a lot about you lately. About us. About Emily. I know this might sound strange, but I need to ask something. Something personal. Something I wouldn't trust anyone else with. Please come see me this weekend. I need your help with something, and I think it's something only you can give me. Love. Mom. I stared at the letter for a long time, hands shaking slightly, mascara smudging under my eyes. Something about her tone was different. Sad but hopeful. Like she was reaching for something she thought had been lost. I didn't know what she meant. I didn't know what she wanted. But I knew one thing. I had to go. Even if it meant facing the past. Even if it meant risking everything. Even if it meant uncovering a truth I wasn't ready for. I had no idea that my mother's wish would become my transformation. I arrived at Mom's house on Saturday, just after noon. The sky was overcast, a thin gray haze muting everything into stillness. The same old white mailbox. The peeling porch swing that never got fixed. The little blue ceramic butterfly Mom had glued to the front door after Emily died. Everything was exactly as I remembered, but somehow it felt heavier. I parked in the driveway, hands clenched around the steering wheel. In the trunk, I'd hidden a duffel bag. Inside, the wig, the makeup, the heels, the clothes that made me feel whole. I hadn't planned to bring them, but something about her letter, something unspoken, urged me to. Mom opened the door before I knocked. She looked older than I remembered. Thinner. Her eyes were tired, but they lit up the second she saw me. "Ethan," she breathed, pulling me into a hug that lasted just a beat too long. We sat in the kitchen, the same one where Emily used to braid my hair with leftover spaghetti strands when Mom wasn't looking. The same spot where I once spilled juice all over the floor and cried like the world had ended. "How's Emma?" Mom asked, stirring tea without looking at me. "She's good," I said quickly. "She's at her cousin's wedding this weekend. I thought I'd stay here until she gets back." Mom nodded. "That's nice. I'm glad you came." I waited. The silence stretched thin. I could feel the weight of her gaze, even as she avoided eye contact. Finally, she sighed. "Ethan, I need to tell you something. Something I've never said out loud before." My stomach twisted. She stood up, walked over to a dusty cabinet near the hallway, and pulled out a box I hadn't seen in years. Light pink, with a faded silver clasp. My breath caught. She placed it on the table and opened it. Inside were her old things. Hair clips, costume jewelry, a photo of her in a ballet recital. But it wasn't nostalgia in my mom's eyes. It was longing. A desperate ache. "I used to imagine what it would have been like to watch her grow up," she said softly. Prom. Graduation. Her wedding day. Helping her pick out her first lipstick. Being there for her first heartbreak. She swallowed. When she died, a part of me died too. And I tried to be okay. I tried to accept that she was gone. But I couldn't stop missing her. She finally looked up. And then, sometimes, I saw pieces of her in you. In the way you walked. In the way you smiled when no one was watching. You reminded me of her so much it hurt. My throat went dry. I didn't dare speak. She reached into the box and pulled out a small velvet pouch. From it, she retrieved a delicate silver bracelet. Feminine, elegant, with a single pink stone at the center. She loved this. Said it made her feel grown up. Confident. Beautiful. She placed it in my hand. "I don't know what you do when you're alone," she said. "But I know. I've known for a long time." My heart stopped. What do you mean?" "I found the skirt in your laundry once. A little lipstick stain on a pillow. You think I didn't notice the wig stand under your bed when I visited last year?" She smiled sadly. "I'm your mother, Ethan. You think I don't recognize my child when she's trying to breathe through someone else's life?" I felt the ground tilt beneath me. My hands trembled. I didn't mean to." "I'm not angry," she said gently. "I'm just sad you thought you had to hide it from me." There was a pause. Then, "I want something. A selfish wish. Just for one weekend. I want to see her again. Not Emily. You. The daughter you've been too afraid to become. It felt like someone had struck me in the chest. All the years of hiding, of shame, of pretending, suddenly exposed under her soft gaze. "Are you saying you want me to?" "Yes," she whispered. "Will you become my daughter for the weekend?" That night, I stood in the guest bathroom staring at myself in the mirror. My heart was a hurricane, 1,000 thoughts, none of them clear. But underneath the panic was a flicker of something else. I opened the duffel bag slowly, pulled out each piece with trembling fingers. The tights, the padded bra, the dusty rose blouse with pearl buttons, the long auburn wig that fell in perfect waves. I shaved carefully, applied foundation, blush, eyeliner. My hand shook as I traced a cherry red lip color across my mouth. Each step chipped away at the fear. And when I slipped on the heels and stood straight, she was there. Me, but not Ethan. Someone else. Someone real. I stepped out into the living room. My mom was waiting on the couch, reading an old magazine. When she saw me, her eyes widened, then filled with tears. She stood slowly, hands to her mouth. "Oh," she whispered, "you look beautiful." I looked down, nervously brushing imaginary lint from the blouse. "You really think so?" She walked over and took my hand. "You look just like her. But you're not Emily. You're you. And that's even more beautiful." We sat on the couch, side by side. She brought out old photo albums, flipping through them with shaking hands. Some pages were of Emily, others of me. But for the first time, they didn't feel like different people. "Do you have a name?" she asked softly. I blinked. I don't know. She smiled. "Then let's find one together." That night, for the first time in years, I didn't cry myself to sleep. I didn't feel ashamed. I didn't feel like a lie. I felt real. But reality doesn't stay kind for long. Because just as I was beginning to accept this version of myself, I heard a sound that chilled me to the bone. The front door unlocking. The sound of the front door unlocking cut through the silence like a gunshot. I froze in the hallway, the hem of my skirt swaying just slightly with my rapid breathing. My hands went cold. My heart slammed into my chest. No. Emma wasn't supposed to be back until Monday. "Mom," a familiar voice called out. "The wedding got canceled. There was a fight at the reception. I figured I'd just come by to surprise you and Ethan." Emma, my girlfriend, the girl who had never seen this side of me, who thought I was confident, masculine, dependable. And I was standing there, lipsticked, blushed, trembling in a skirt, a woman staring back at me in the hallway mirror. Mom looked at me. Panic flickered in her eyes, but only for a second. Then calm, steady. "Go to the guest room," she whispered quickly. "I'll stall her." I ran, heels clicking softly across the floor. Every step was a mistake. Every swish of my skirt was a betrayal. I closed the guest room door as quietly as I could, my breath coming in shallow gasps. I pressed my ear to the door. "Emma, what a surprise," Mom said, her voice a little too cheerful. "I know, right? Where's Ethan?" "Oh, he went for a walk. Said he needed some air. Why don't you sit down? I'll make some tea." Footsteps. The couch creaked. I imagined Emma tossing her purse on the cushion like she always did. She was here. In the house. If she walked down this hall. I looked at myself in the mirror above the dresser. A girl. A woman. Not Ethan. I could barely recognize myself. My eyes were wide, rimmed with eyeliner that still shimmered under the lamplight. The wig hugged my face perfectly. My lips were glossy and parted in fear. And yet, a tiny part of me still felt beautiful. I couldn't go back out there. Not like this. Not with her sitting just a few feet away. I paced the room. My heels wobbled as I moved, and used to the height. My legs were shaking. Then I heard footsteps again. Coming closer. Down the hallway. No. No. A knock. 3 soft taps on the door. "Hello. Is someone in there?" Emma's voice. I didn't answer. Mom said the guest room door was stuck. Is that true? A pause. The handle rattled. My brain scrambled for a plan. I looked around wildly. No makeup wipes. No spare change of clothes. My male clothes were still in the duffel in the closet, but even if I reached them, I'd never clean my face fast enough. And the voice. My voice, it was too soft now. Too fragile. I opened the closet and pulled out a pink robe. It was Emily's, I think. I threw it over myself and sat down, back rigid. The door creaked open. Emma stepped in. And froze. Her eyes scanned me up and down. My heart stopped beating. Her face was unreadable. Then, oh, I didn't realize anyone was here. I'm sorry. She turned to leave. I panicked. Emma, I said quietly. She paused mid-step. Turned. Slowly, cautiously, like she was staring at a ghost. Ethan, she whispered. I nodded. Her face turned pale. What is this? I stood. I didn't want you to find out like this. She didn't say anything. She just stared at me, eyes flicking between my trembling hands, the curls of the wig, the bracelet on my wrist. I could barely breathe. I don't know how it started, I said, voice cracking. I've always felt like there was something more. Like there was a version of me, hiding behind the one you know. This was the only way I could feel real. Silence. I thought if I told you I'd lose you, I whispered. Emma didn't speak for a long time. Then she stepped closer. Why didn't you trust me? Tears burned my eyes. Because I didn't trust myself. She reached out, fingers brushing against my sleeve. I don't know what to say. That makes two of us. Emma looked away, thinking. Then back to me. You look different. Do I look like a joke to you? She shook her head. No. You look scared. But also like you're finally breathing. That shattered me. The tears came fast now. I couldn't stop them. Emma pulled me into a hug. Tight. Confused. Real. I'm not promising anything, she whispered. I don't know what this means yet, but I'm here. Okay. I nodded against her shoulder, the tears staining her sweater. I'm here. Later that night, Emma sat beside me in the guest room, flipping through the makeup bag I'd packed. Cherry glaze, she teased. You're braver than I thought. I laughed through tears. It's not brave when you're hiding. You've got decent technique, she said, dabbing blush on my cheeks. But your eyeliner's crooked. She leaned in, fixing it gently. You ever thought about a name? She asked. My mom asked me that too, I whispered. Well, she smiled. I hesitated. Then softly, Isabelle. Emma smiled. That suits you. And for the first time, I believed it did. But just as I was beginning to feel like maybe I could live with this truth, a phone buzzed. Emma's. She checked it, frowning. My sister's freaking out. She's coming here to pick me up in the morning. My stomach dropped. Here? To this house? Emma looked at me. Yeah, she'll want to say hi to you too. You know how nosy she is. I swallowed. Another visitor. Another chance of being exposed. Of being seen. Isabelle, Emma said gently. You don't have to hide. Not from me. Not anymore. But I wasn't worried about her. I was worried about me. Because deep down, I wasn't sure I could ever go back. And that terrified me more than being caught ever could. The morning sunlight spilled into the guest room, warm and golden, but it did nothing to melt the anxiety frozen in my chest. I woke up early, curled in the soft pink robe, the same one Emma had gently draped around me last night before we both fell asleep. My wig was slightly askew, and my makeup smudged from tears and sleep. But I didn't want to take any of it off. Even now, with Emma asleep beside me, her arm loosely wrapped around my waist, I felt a strange sense of peace. Like the world, just for a moment, was okay. Until I remembered what was coming. Emma's sister, Julia. She was nosy, loud, and the definition of unpredictable. And now she was on her way here, with no idea that her sister's boyfriend wasn't quite the man she remembered. I slid out of bed quietly, careful not to wake Emma. My feet padded across the floor in soft, girly slippers Mom had laid out for me. I peeked into the hallway, heart pounding. No one. I tiptoed into the bathroom and stared at myself in the mirror. A part of me expected guilt, regret, shame. But what I saw instead was a girl still becoming. Still afraid, yes, but alive in a way Ethan had never been. I brushed my wig into place and reapplied a light touch of foundation and mascara. Nothing flashy, just enough to feel like me. Then a knock. Not at the bedroom door this time. At the front. Emma stirred behind me. That's her, she muttered groggily. My throat tightened. Emma sat up. You should stay in here. I'll handle her. I hesitated. What if she barges in? You know how she is. She stood and grabbed her robe. I'll keep her downstairs. Just stay out of sight. Okay. I nodded, heart thumping in my ears. From the bedroom window, I peeked out. Julia was already walking up the path, her phone in one hand and sunglasses perched dramatically on her head. She looked like she belonged on reality TV, flawless makeup, high heels before 9 a.m., and a personality too big for any room. I heard the door open. Emma. Ugh, finally. It's freezing out here. Sorry. Come in. You want coffee? Obviously. But first, where's Ethan? I have to talk to him. You will not believe what happened at the wedding. Emma laughed nervously. He's out. On a run. A run? Seriously? Since when does Ethan jog? My stomach dropped. Footsteps moved to the kitchen. Anyway, Julia continued, we need to talk. I think Greg is cheating on me again. I heard Emma mumble a reply, trying to steer the conversation away from upstairs. I took a deep breath. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. I relaxed slightly, thinking maybe I dodged the bullet, until I heard the sound of footsteps coming up the stairs. Emma's voice, low, urgent, was trailing behind. No, Julia. The bathroom downstairs is fine. Yeah, but I need my concealer. I left it in your guest room the last time I stayed. Let me just grab it real quick. No. I rushed to the closet, yanked open the door, and squeezed myself inside. My breathing was ragged. My makeup would smear. I didn't care. The door to the guest room opened. Light footsteps on the carpet. Silence. I could hear her rummaging through drawers. My heart thudded in my ears. Then a pause. A long one. She must have seen the vanity setup, the wig stand, the lipstick beside the mirror. My lipstick. Emma! Julia called out. Why is there makeup in here? Emma's voice was closer now. That's mine. Julia laughed. You don't wear cherry pink. This is not your shade. A beat of silence. Then Julia's voice again, suspicious. Is someone else staying here? Emma stalled. No. Just me and Ethan. Julia didn't reply. I held my breath, my hands trembling against the wooden hangers pressing into my shoulders. Then a sound. The creak of the closet door handle turning. No. Not now. Light flooded in. Julia stared at me. Wig perfectly in place. Mascara dark against my cheeks. Wrapped in a pink robe. Frozen like a mannequin. She blinked. Once. Twice. And then laughed. But it wasn't cruel. It was delighted. Oh, my God. I opened my mouth to explain, to beg, to cry. But she grabbed my hand and yanked me out of the closet. Emma, she yelled. Your boyfriend is fabulous. 10 minutes later, we were sitting at the kitchen table, me still red-faced and mortified, Julia gushing like we were at a sleepover. I mean, you could have told me. I love this. The robe, the makeup, even the walk. You're like a little swan learning to glide. I glanced at Emma, who was sipping coffee and watching me with an unreadable expression. Julia grinned. You're not mad, are you? I shook my head. Just shocked. Emma finally spoke. I didn't plan any of this. But now that you know. Julia leaned in, smiling. Listen, Ethan, or should I say Isabelle, if you ever want a makeover day, I live for this. The name sent a thrill through me. Isabelle. Said out loud. Accepted. Even celebrated. And yet, beneath the surface, I felt it. A crack. A shift. Because now it was real. Too real. I had been seen. And I couldn't unlive this moment. But the twist? It was still coming. Later that afternoon, Emma pulled me aside. You need to know something, she said. Julia isn't always discreet. She might have already texted one of our friends about you. What? She's not trying to be cruel. She just doesn't get how serious this is. My stomach flipped. I thought I was just experimenting. Exploring something in secret. But now the world was starting to find out. And I wasn't ready for what came next. The rest of the afternoon blurred like fog. Julia stayed far longer than planned, dropping compliments that sounded just a little too loud with too many sideways glances toward me. She meant well, I think. But with every word, my chest tightened. The illusion of privacy was shattering. Emma walked her out just after sunset. The front door closed. Silence fell. And I sat there, in the soft sweater dress Emma had picked for me, still fully Isabelle, shaking. "She's going to tell someone," I said quietly. Emma stood at the doorway, her face unreadable. "Probably." I looked up. "And you're okay with that?" She hesitated. "I don't know." That hit harder than I expected. "But you said—" "I do love you," she cut in. "But this is a lot. Everything's happening so fast. I thought I had time to figure it out before anyone else found out." "So did I." Emma crossed her arms. "Julia doesn't mean harm, but you know what she's like. Gossip is her oxygen. By tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if 3 people text me asking if I'm dating a drag queen." My stomach turned. "That's not what this is." "I know," she snapped, and then softened. "I know. But not everyone does." I stood up, the hem of the dress brushing my thighs. "This is real for me, Emma. It's not a phase. It's not pretend. I'm not doing drag. I feel like Isabelle is who I was meant to be. At least part of me." Emma looked like she wanted to cry. "Then why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I was scared of this." I motioned between us. "Of losing you." We stood there in silence, the gap between us heavier than ever. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I picked it up slowly. "Hey, so," Julia said something kinda wild. "Are you really dressing like a girl now?" Flushed face. My heart sank. It had started. I didn't reply. I turned the phone face down and backed away. Emma saw my face and understood. "Who was it?" "A friend. Derek. From work." She sat down. "Oh God. It's already spreading." Emma ran her hands through her hair. "Do you want me to say something? To deny it?" "No," I whispered. "Because it's not a lie. And I couldn't live in the closet again. Not now." That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling for hours, fully dressed in Isabelle's clothes. A soft camisole, pink boy shorts, and a cardigan that smelled like lavender. I thought about deleting my social media. I thought about calling Mom. Instead, I got up, and I walked to the mirror. There she was. Me. Isabelle. I reached out, fingertips brushing the glass. My eyes filled with tears. "I don't want to disappear again," I whispered. And in that moment, I did something I hadn't done before, not fully. I took a photo. Not a goofy selfie. Not a filtered shot with a mask on. A real one. Raw. Full length. Wig perfect. Eyeliner soft and smoky. Dress hugging my shape in a way that felt like a secret finally spoken aloud. I didn't post it. Not yet. But I saved it. Because this wasn't just for the world. It was for me. The next morning, I woke up late. Emma was sitting at the kitchen table, looking tired and distant. "I got 4 messages," she said without looking up. My heart raced. "And they're asking if it's true. If you're, transitioning or something." "I'm not. I know that. But they don't." She finally looked at me. "We need to talk about what this means." I sat across from her. "Okay. I love you," she said. "But I don't know if I can keep this private anymore." I flinched. This isn't something I can joke about with friends. And if you're going to be Isabelle, I am Isabelle, then we have to decide what that means. For us. The words hit like thunder. For us. My voice cracked. "Do you still want to be with me?" Her silence was answer enough. Not yet a no, but no longer a yes. Then, the symbolic moment that broke me. That night, I want to change back into my usual clothes. Jeans. Hoodie. Sneakers. A mask. But as I pulled the hoodie over my head, something fell. The wig. It landed on the floor with a soft thud. I stared at it. That crown of hair that made me feel powerful, beautiful, real. Now lying crumpled like a costume. I sank to the floor, picked it up with trembling hands, and pressed it against my chest. I cried. Not loud. Just silent tears. For everything. For Ethan, the boy who'd spent years hiding. For Isabelle, the girl who was finally breathing. And for the space between them that might cost me the one person I loved most. Emma found me there. She knelt beside me, saying nothing. After a while, she whispered, "You're brave, you know that?" I didn't feel brave. I felt broken. She kissed my forehead. "Whatever happens, I'll always care. But we're heading somewhere new now. And I don't know where it ends." Neither did I. But I knew one thing for sure. There was no going back. The days after that conversation felt like walking through a haze. Emma and I drifted. We spoke less. Every word felt heavier. Every glance felt like a question without an answer. But it wasn't just Emma. The outside world was knocking at my door, too. Text messages piled up, some curious, some rude, others supportive. I didn't respond to most. I couldn't, not with everything hanging in the balance. One morning, just a few days after everything started to unravel, I decided to step outside. Not to go anywhere special. I just needed air. Emma was in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone, her back to me. I pulled on a jacket, tied my sneakers, and stepped outside. The air was crisp, sharp, almost painful to breathe. The sky, a dull gray, matched my mood. For the first time in what felt like forever, I felt alone. Alone with my secret. Alone with the woman I was becoming. Alone with the fear that I might lose everything. I walked aimlessly down the street, the sound of my heels echoing on the pavement with every step. People passed by, none of them sparing a second glance. But inside, I could feel the weight of their judgment, the eyes that weren't even there. I had told myself I would never go back. But now, standing there in the street, fully Isabelle, doubt crept in like a shadow. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Emma. "Can we talk? I need to ask you something." My chest tightened. I couldn't wait. I had to face this. I turned and walked back, but the door was already wide open when I arrived. I stepped inside. Emma was standing there, holding her phone. Her face was pale, her eyes wide. "Who's this?" she asked, showing me the screen. My heart stopped. The photo I'd taken the night before, the one of me in the full Isabelle look, was displayed in the group chat I'd barely remembered sending it to. "Who shared this?" I asked, my voice cracking. Emma didn't answer. She didn't need to. The damage was done. Julia had found the photo and shared it with a group of friends. In seconds, the news had spread beyond the walls of my home. But it wasn't just that. A message followed in the group chat. "So what's the deal, Isabelle? Is this who you really are now? Are we going to start calling you a girl from now on?" The words cut like a blade. I felt sick to my stomach. This wasn't just a rumor anymore. It wasn't gossip. It was my identity, laid bare and torn apart by people who didn't know me. Emma stood still, her phone in her hand, staring at the screen. I swallowed hard, trying to find my voice. I didn't mean for this to happen. I swear. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with confusion, hurt, and something else, something I couldn't place. "But it's happening, Isabelle. This is who you are now, isn't it?" My stomach churned. I started, but the words wouldn't come. "I'm still the same person. I'm still me." She shook her head, and her voice dropped. "But you're not. Not anymore." I felt my knees buckle, the weight of her words crashing down on me. Everything I had feared was right there, in that single, painful moment. The future we'd imagined, our future, felt like it was slipping through my fingers. "I don't know if I can keep pretending this is okay," Emma whispered. The doorbell rang. I didn't want to answer it. I didn't want to see anyone. But before I could make a move, Emma opened it. A woman's voice echoed from the hallway. "Hey, is Isabelle here?" I froze. The woman at the door was familiar. Too familiar. My mother. I stood there, motionless, staring at the woman who had always tried to mold me into someone I could never be. She looked at me, eyes soft and warm, then turned to Emma. "I hope I'm not interrupting." Emma's gaze flicked between us, her lips pressing into a thin line. We were talking. My mother's smile faded as she turned back to me. "Isabelle, sweetheart, I've been trying to reach you. I didn't know you were going through all of this." I could hear her voice trembling, though her face was calm. But it wasn't just concern. It was control. "I didn't ask for any of this," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. My mother stepped inside, taking in the scene like she always did. She walked over to the couch and sat, uninvited, and I followed, sitting opposite her. "You don't need to explain, darling," she said in that soothing, patronizing tone she always used. "I understand now. You're becoming the woman you've always wanted to be. Just like I always hoped. What? I could barely manage the word. You've been dressing up, haven't you? She continued, completely unfazed. I'm not upset. You've been so lost for so long. But this is your chance. You finally get to be my dream daughter. My real daughter. I felt like the world had cracked open beneath me. I couldn't breathe. She was right. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was about her dream. Her image. My life had never been mine. Not even my own transformation was. The clock was ticking. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Emma's friends. And another message from Julia. It was like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I turned to Emma, but she was already walking away, her face pale and strained. She had nothing more to say. This wasn't just my secret anymore. It was my mother's. And in the end, that would change everything.